Thank you for joining. We are starting late, but it's all my fault. Some technical difficulties, which I knew was going to happen. I knew it would happen. Um, I am really glad that you are joining us, whether you're joining live or if you're joining later. I'm just really glad to have you. I am Carly, and I'm with Colorful Crow Publishing. And tonight we're actually talking with Mandy Cantrell. And so I am excited to talk about her, but also her book and a little bit about her writing journey. She is kind of a pro, really, and has done a lot in the writing industry and the publishing world. And so I feel like she has a lot to offer and a lot to share with us. I'll talk about her just a little bit. She's going to actually co-host with us tonight, and so I will wait for her to jump on here. She is a wife and a mom. She's president of the Cartersville Area Writers, and that is a new thing. That's something that is a spinoff from the Calhoun Area Writers, which is a group that I started in 2014. So I'm really excited that Cartersville now has that going on down there, and Mandy is doing a phenomenal job with that. She's putting together a conference, and they have monthly events. She's just really rocked it. She's trying to join us on video. Hang on, let me see if I can get her on here. She's adding. So I know those of you that are part of that group are super excited to have her up there, down there. She is rocking it. She's doing a fantastic job. I'm just talking about you.
So I came in on fantastic job, so I don't want to stop you.
So I'm talking about what you're doing in Cartersville with the Cartersville Area Writers, and just so many good things going on. I definitely want to talk about the conference. Anyone local to the area is going to want to know about it.
Absolutely.
So what details do you want to share?
Well, I just put up a whole event today, all the information on our page, Cartersville Area Writers. So you guys go over to the Facebook page and please follow that, because there's going to be so much more information coming out. But I don't know how far you want to go into that, but we've got a keynote speaker. We've got our secondary speaker. We're going to have authors tables. We're going to have speed presentations, all the great things of a big conference. And I'm super excited about that. So I'm just sort of loading up that page as we go with everything that keeps coming my way. So that's going to be at Expedition Church in Cartersville on May 20th. So.
And do you want to share about your speakers? You have a phenomenal lineup.
Yes, I do. So I don't know if you want to do the introduction. So.
Okay. Well, so you have a keynote, and she has a huge following. Really, just a kind lady with big attitude. You can't help but to love her if you're around her. So I'm sorry, I keep getting notifications all over my phone, but
I know that's the right.
So I feel like there should be a major drum roll, but I'm just going to spit it out. It's Loretta Hannon.
Loretta Hannon. Yes, and so since you've met her, I'm a little jealous, because the more I read about her, I'm just excited. She just seems like a character, just right out of a book. So I'm so excited. I told her we've got to get together before this conference because I'm dying to meet her. So yeah.
So you're in for a treat then, because she's absolutely amazing. That's fantastic. And then I know you have a secondary speaker, which is Ann Height. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to be phenomenal. You don't want to miss this conference. It's going to be great. I'm really impressed with the work you guys are doing.
Hey, everything is just sort of falling into place. Like, I'm excited about that. It's almost not being work at this time, because everything just kind of falling into our lap. And you have been like the best on showing us what to do and kind of paving that path for us, since you've got the experience of so many years. We're thankful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm just happy to be involved.
Yeah. So I haven't met Ann either. and I'm wanted you to introduce because you know them. Personally, I don't, and I'm just really excited. Like I'm, did my homework, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is who we're really getting.
Yeah,
So I'm just excited.
it's going to be fantastic. It really is.
Yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too.
So I was just letting people know you're a wife, you're a mom, president of the Cartersville Area Writers. You're kind of just really rocking the literacy scene. If you've not seen Mandy's series, Trace series, we're going to talk about that a little bit later and tell you where to find that. But yeah, the Trace series is wildly popular. People love it. You've got a big following of Trace fans that are wearing the merchandise, and so yeah, if you've not, yeah, it is fun. It's a fun
It's
read.
fun, spooky. It's not. It's something everybody can get on board with. It's just that nostalgia and the rock and roll whole theme of the '80s is fun.
Yep. So, but tonight we're talking about Affair in August, and I have my copy.
Oh my! I I love to talk about this. You don't know how many times I've read this myself. Like I'm just enjoying. I would want to read. You know what I'm saying? I would pick this book.
Yes, and that speaks volumes because by the time you get finished writing it, you're a little sick of it,
It's like, how many times can you look through this thing? Yeah, I know. And then I've been listening on audio too from my Word program. And I'm just like, I just enjoy being in that place with those characters.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And it was hard to
So, yeah, absolutely. So, Affair in August actually was not a standalone story to begin with. A lot of people look at Mandy and they say, "Oh, The Collector."
Sure.
That was just phenomenal out of the box marketing. That it was fun, and you did some amazing things with that. So, talk about that just a little bit.
Okay, so I was writing a book called The Collector Three Wayward Tales, and it was three tales that were about somebody on a path where they made the wrong choice. They got some warning and decided to ignore that, and I thought that was relatable to a lot of people. So it was varying degrees of danger with those stories, and they were kind of spun together through the collector, who was an older gentleman who ran a curiosity shop, and instead of selling items, he sold stories that went with the items. So I was loving writing that, and I had my three stories, and I started the collector online on a Facebook event every Thursday. That was back in July, and the idea was sort of acting as the collector, since I collect stories to write stories, but I also collect things. Then I would share something every Thursday night out of my curiosity shop, and then I would have three items up for bid to sort of represent the three stories. And that kind of took off. That was fun. You know about that. You were there.
Yeah, I have some oddities that I've added to my collection from it. It was so
Yeah,
fun.
I'm glad to be a part of the strange universe that is Mandy Cantrell, and sort of give that over to you. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and then it sort of changed forms. As I was writing, my longest story at the end was Affair in August, and it grew and grew, and I'm like, there's no way I can shorten this back up to a third short story in this. And so that's kind of when you came into play. And things
Yeah.
took a flip.
Yeah, we read that story and snagged it.
I know.
Loved it. And it really just worked out perfectly. It's the perfect sit down and read book. It is a standalone. It has its own life, so I'm really glad that I was able to see that and able to pick that up, because it's amazing. It's a great story.
Thank you. I think it hits a lot of elements that people are looking for in a book, and
Mm-hmm.
it did outgrow the collector book. And I thought, if I keep this in here, first of all, it was way too long, and then second of all, I was scared it was going to get lost in the pages of the rest of the book. It sort of needed to tell some story, and I'm so glad that we did that, because
That's exactly right.
exciting to go with a traditional publisher too, because that's new to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, we're happy to have you. Absolutely. So I think this book for me, it is easy. It's an easy read. It's consumable. Some books have a really thick plot, and you're kind of like Sherlock Holmesing your way through it. And this is so, it's like sitting down and listening to you tell a story. And I love that. I love that I can just sit and let you tell me a story. I don't have to overthink things. It's just a very easy, fun read.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you see it that way, and you've read enough of my work to know even what's not published and what has been published, and so you know that's sort of my style. Like, let me tell you this, and it just sort of unveils like that, especially only having a few main characters. I think it's easy to immerse yourself in those characters and in the story, and I want it to almost appear like real time, like you're along for the ride.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's it. But it's definitely, I mean, it's a page turner. You're going to get to the end of the chapter and you're just moving right on to the next chapter. It was definitely not a let me set it down and pick it back up later. You just get so invested in those characters and in the storyline that you're turning pages and staying up late.
Well, thank you. That's that's the idea I think of all writers, that you want to pull that reader in and hold them there where they want to see what's going to happen. They're invested in the characters. They want to see it to the end. Because there's those people who like to read, but they'll flip a little bit and they'll bounce back and forth between books. But I'm hoping this is one people want to read and see, like you say, each chapter, what's going to happen now, because that's sort of how it's laid out, like what happens now.
Yep,
It was fun.
absolutely.
It was fun to write.
Oh, I bet. I bet. All right, so I'm going to talk about my favorite part of the book, but anyone that is tuned in with us, we want to hear your favorite part. So you just type away in that chat box. I'll try to pay attention to it. Julie, I think that's so cool that you've got a Ferris wheel beside your comment. I don't even know how you did that, but it matches so well. That's amazing. So yeah, you tell us what your favorite part of the book was if you've read it. But I'll tell you, for me, it's really not a specific scene in the book that was my favorite. For me, it's like the journey of Millie, and Millie's that main character. And I'm going to let you give a little bit of a synopsis and tell what you want to tell. But it's definitely like a coming of age. So you see her really move from timidness to boldness, self-doubt, maybe to a little bit of rebellion, and just watching 10 years of a life happen within a few days.
Yeah.
Of the time frame of this book. You get to see so much. So one, give us a little bit of a synopsis, but two, I want to know if it was difficult to write such a broad range of emotions into the voice of one little character.
Okay, so Millie on me. I started out with this timid character. I knew she had the go-getter inside of her. She's working, this is a few years in the future, so she's working for the media, whatever that looks like at that time. And things are sort of dying out with the newspaper world and TV broadcasting. But she's trying to make her way. And so with each little step, she just sort of developed through the writing, and I was like, oh wow, she did that. It's fun when your characters surprise you. But I thought, she hasn't found herself. She's of coming of age stories, but she's in her 20s and she hasn't found herself. And so usually that takes a while for people, and for Millie, the fair sort of embodies that whole change for her. So every person she meets, the experiences she has within this 1 week time period, it's just like this big bang for her in realization. And I do think that happens for us sometimes. We can meet somebody, or we can hear something, even down to like a quote or something, and we think, yeah, that's it. And so she's trying to find herself. Trouble in finding yourself that quickly is you might make mistakes. I don't want to give too much, but yeah, so you get confidence too quickly, or you get worldly too quickly when you've been sheltered, then you might not see things coming. So you might be taken, or you might trip up, or you might make bad choices.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you put yourself into, I mean, really, when you're writing a character, in some way you're becoming that character. You know, you're needing to feel the emotions of that character and some of the experiences. But like I said, you went through such a growth spurt for her emotionally and mentally in such a small amount of time. How did you immerse yourself in that character in that way so that you were able to write that so well?
Well, thank you for that. I did end up really liking Millie, and Millie is not. A lot of my characters in other books are really sort of bold characters, and she came into her own boldness, I guess, in a way. But when I was writing her, I thought of tidbits. When you're writing, you might recall a situation, or a person, or something that you've experienced. And once I started sort of, I guess I would say it's like if you were adding ingredients and then you thought, oh, this is chili. I've put in that. That's who this is. And so I have to do my food analogies. It helps. But yeah, I think Millie came about by experiences, and probably sort of a potpourri there, because one thing I looked back on just slightly, early in my early 20s, I did work for the media and had some experiences there for a short time. And I remember pulling from that, even though it wasn't that long. I thought of what the environment was like, and what it was like to be young and you weren't really sure of yourself, but you wanted to do something. And so, Millie's really not like me, but I could take elements of things, and that desire when you're young to do something bold, or to make your stamp. I guess that's
Mhm.
it was a lot of different small things collided together, and then I could sort of see that character in my head and how she might respond or what she might do.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Fun, but
All right. So,
not me, and it was just neat to see, with all the pieces that created this woman that I really felt a lot for.
right, right. And that's what we do.
Yeah, yeah.
We fall in love with the characters, and yeah.
And then the book,
So,
you're like, oh,
yeah. So speaking of characters, I have a favorite character. I do want to know what everyone's favorite character is. That's always my question when talking with someone about a book. Who's your favorite character? But for me, my favorite character is Mr. Sanders.
I thought that was.
I just can't. I can't imagine that anybody wouldn't say that. You know, we all love Millie. We love all the characters, but Mr. Sanders, there's an interaction between him and Millie, and I just find his personality to be cautious but kind. You know, mysterious but also familiar. Like you just feel like, oh yeah, I've known someone just like that. It was comforting to me to have him around in the book. Anytime he was in the scene, it was comforting. So what about you? I want to know, who was your favorite character? Do you have a favorite character? But also, I want to know where the inspiration came from for you to write Mr. Sanders.
Okay, so my favorite character is nameless for a while in the book, so I don't want to name him here,
Yes.
but it's one of the main male characters, and he's sort of the sidekick to Millie, I guess. Throughout the book, you get a lot of those two characters, and that's my favorite, and I really had fun writing that character. They were very relatable to me in a lot of different ways, just in the fact of, I don't know, that just having fun at the fair, that it to me it brought out a lot of the fun atmosphere, but the edginess of the rides and the different things. I just thought the main male character was a lot of fun, but Mr. Sanders, is sort of secondary main character, and he did like Millie, like he fell into place. I could see this guy, and he's got this mystery, and you kind of sometimes don't know how to take him, but you like him, and you want him to be, you said he's like that constant, you want him to be there.
Uh-huh.
But it's kind of like, what's his story? Where's he coming from? And so I had kind of a picture in my head of what he would look like, and he's a little eccentric. He's worldly, and he's smart. He's intelligent, and to me, he's a multi-layered character, and I really enjoy him. He's somebody you get just enough of that you think, I want to know his story. Give me that story. And
Well, listen, no, I don't know. As your publisher, if I could commission you to write something, it would be his story. Like I closed the book and it was like, I'm not done with
yeah,
him, because he's so multi-layered. There's more to him. There's, a whole backstory there that I'm
yeah.
missing.
If I could use one word for him, I would say nuance, because like, what does he mean by that? Well, there's these implications in the things that he says, and he's so smart. It's like a wink to himself with his remarks. It's
Yes.
like, I know I'm cool. I know I'm smart. You don't even know. And he's older,
Yeah.
but he's not frail. He's not a weak character. He's like, he's the running the show.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, for me, just thinking about him, it made me think there's got to be some kind of tie with the collector.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So he was the inspiration there. So I'm definitely finishing the collector. All I have to do is fill in that other story. I have some things in mind, and it's a little too early to set another date, but I've got the collector now on YouTube, and that goes live for the first time this weekend. So yeah, on that channel. So I'll definitely be sharing on there when the collector sort of comes together. And you and I are going to talk before that, because I think that's a deal that you want in on. I can tell your interest in that story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I definitely want to talk about your going live this weekend, but first I want to ask you, while we're on that process of you writing and you're going to be filling in that third story, I want you to speak to writers, aspiring writers. Tell us a little bit about your process. What does that look like? And that could be, your actual writing process, or just that mental prep that you go through. What is something that you could pass along that might be helpful to someone else that's trying to get a story out?
Okay, so for me, it when I read, I like to do things out of the box anyway, but so I read up on, what other people are doing and what their process is, and that doesn't seem to really work for me. So just like something I'm kind of working on right now, I realized I can't always do like this outline of how it's all going to go. I just sort of have to go ahead and put my feet in there and take that step, and then see what develops. I didn't have it outlined for Millie or for the other characters exactly. I had a picture, but it almost seems like once I get my hands on, and I can't do the handwriting like you do, I have to have my keyboard, and then it's almost like it transfers from my head, and just kind of comes to life when I'm I really enjoy typing personally. I just like that function. But
Yeah.
so I would suggest to people, don't wait until you've got everything ironed out before you start putting that down. Um, get in there and see what happens. You might surprise yourself. I've been writing something before and thought, oh, really? And I'm like, you just wrote that. Oh, really? But it was a surprise to me. So you might surprise yourself whether it's a pen or the keyboard, where it takes you. Don't wait and iron that out. Some people have to work that way, but I would say get in there and see what happens.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many different methods and ways that people work and think through things and process information. And so you've got to find what works for you. But I'm always curious to hear what other writers are doing, and maybe, maybe it's time to try something new. If someone's struggling,
Yeah,
just try something totally different.
I
Yeah.
tell you,
But go ahead.
nothing trips me up like trying to do an outline or trying to structure that. It's because it's such an artistic thing, and if it's a gift for you and you feel I mean, if nobody ever sees it, but it's something that makes you feel good to do that process, then I think it'll
Mhm.
just come naturally. I spend a lot of time walking or on the back of a motorcycle, and my head's, writing chapters as we go. So I say just jump in and let that go where it goes.
Yep.
Mhm.
So, okay, so now tell us, what is author Mandy L. Cantrell doing this weekend that I'm so excited about?
I know you might know a little bit about that. So, as I was talking about the collector, sort of, you talk about things making their own. That has really made its own because after I stopped the live auctions, and things changed for him because I went with Colorful Crow for my last story, then I started doing interviews. And so I was doing the collector on Thursday night with interviews. And I was still sort of sharing about some oddities and some curious items and other people's curious items. And I decided to share about a short story I wrote that was actually in the Calhoun Area Writers anthology. What was that? The year before last?
Yep.
So it was called Pen Pal, A Reflection, and it was about a woman, an older woman, you know, middle age, kind of looking back on choices she'd made in her youth, which fit in with the collector, the book, because it was about, maybe making choices you shouldn't make, dangerous situations. And so it alludes to these letters that are coming from someone, and so she's looking back on a correspondence, and you sort of wait till the end before you see who that correspondence is with, and it's a criminal. And so I kind of came out on the collector that was me and that the criminal was Richard Ramirez. So I did have a correspondence back in my stranger youth with the infamous Richard Ramirez. And since I live such a vanilla life now, I decided to sort of bring that into current time and do something constructive with that. So I donated one of those letters to Alcatraz East in Pigeon Forge, which is the largest crime museum in the nation. If you haven't been there, I mean, it's amazing. It's a morbid subject, but I know a lot of people are interested in true crime. For me, it was sort of that psychological aspect, and I was just too young to make the choices that I probably would have made now if I was writing to somebody in prison. Anyway, that has just been unveiled, and we're going there for a private party to sort of I'm going to speak at that event and sort of tell how that came about in more detail. And then we'll all get to tour the museum and see that on display. So they have my letter and they'll have a plaque and all for me as an author. And I'm donating that story to them, Pen Pal. So it's a big deal. It's exciting. Like I said, it's a little dark in nature, but it's a part of history now. He's been gone since 2013, so it is what it is, what's out there, and I'm the only one who has contributed to their prison. So it will go right now. It will be in a pen pal section for a temporary exhibit, and then it will move on to the permanent position in the serial killer section.
That
So
that is that's a big
that's a
deal.
big mouthful of stuff. Yeah, it is. It is a big deal.
That,
It's very
that's really
that's
exciting.
probably tops my I have a lot of curious items, and that's probably there at the top. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so Mandy, tell those that are tuned in and going to tune in later, tell us how we can follow you.
Okay, so I'm on Facebook with Mandy L. Cantrell. It is sort of a cross between my author stuff and my personal life, so I can share a little bit with people who want to watch. Then I have the Trace page, which is a page that's connected there on Facebook that I do a lot of fun Trace book stuff. But I also have mandylcantrellauthor.com. So be sure to visit my website. I try to keep that updated with everything I'm doing. This has been a wild ride because of the fact that I've been promoting two books at the same time. Of course, I already had people lined up with the Trace series. So this is something, a fair in August, I really want to reach maybe a new audience with. And I think it's maybe even a broader audience there. it reads older, you know, it reads older to me. And but the event that we're having downtown to launch that, I've got to mention to you guys, you'll see it under events. Carly has it on her Colorful Crow, and I'm going to be creating an event as well for that. So it's a public event. It is the 28th of this month. It'll be downtown Adairsville, and you can look on there for all the details, address and everything. But that will be a fair themed book launch. It is going to be so much fun. So I'll be speaking there, and of course selling and signing books, and talking a little more about this book. And I'm really expecting a good turnout based on what I'm seeing. People are curious, you know.
Yep. So how can people watch your live event from this week?
Yeah, so the collector right now is the Collector's Vault on YouTube. So I'm doing sort of that transition, and they can see, you know, what in the world is she talking about? Well, you can go right now and watch one of those videos and see from the past what I was doing before. And then this weekend, it will be Saturday. So it'll be on Mandy Cantrell on YouTube, and you'll see a section for the collector. But anyway, I'm going to go live on there, and I'll be talking about sort of the kickoff with the collector, and giving some more surprise details there. So if you'll just follow me on YouTube, Mandy Cantrell, then you can see that. And I'm trying to think of anything else. I don't have an exact time right now because it depends on how the setup is with the event. There's some limitations there with what's, you know, allowed, because it is a crime museum. It's not it's the true artifacts. It's not so it's protected, you know, so it may not be exactly on site. It might be before. So yeah, but they can check out there, and I hope you guys will all go ahead and follow so you see what we're talking about.
Awesome. Yeah. And I know you've got some stuff coming up, you know, your event on the 28th of this month, where we're going to be having fun. I'm really excited about that fair theme. It's going to be so outside of the box, and just, you've done an amazing job with that. I know you're speaking at the Rome Area Writers in June.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chattanooga Area Writers in July. Yeah. So tell us a little bit, how can you be booked for speaking engagements?
Okay, if you'll go to my website, there is a section on there that's it basically says if you would like to book me for, you know, your book club, your writers group, your school. I'm in the works for Adairsville Middle School right now to do something in the spring there with the Trace books, because the, you know, the little bit of young adult there. And so that's going to be where you see everything is on my website. So that's mandylcantrellauthor.com. I'll be working to add these events as they come along. I'm working on something. I'm doing a lecture first or second week of March. So I've got to iron that out. That'll be there, but I'll be there with a fair in August, and the Trace books. I'll have everything there together. So sort of bouncing back and forth, but I'm booking, and I'm getting filled up with my schedule, which is so exciting, and it's just sort of taken off. So, you know, anybody who's interested in having me come speak, you know, I've been at the Friends of the Library, I've been to different things, and just go on there and send me a message, and I'll get right back to you.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you spending time with us tonight. Yeah, make sure you go online to her website, YouTube, follow her on Facebook, find out where she's going to be next. It's always a good time, always a lot of fun. Yeah, I look forward to continuing our professional relationship. But yeah, Mandy's my friend. She's pretty fantastic. So
yeah, I think we're simpatico. Yeah. We kind of could be along the same line, always busy with the same stuff, and you know, same like mine. Yeah, absolutely. Carly.
All right. Well, I hope that you have a great night. I hope you all have a great night, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Bye.
All right. Bye.